writing is a cushy job. All you have to do is sit down and type away while you eat your bonbons and have your soap opera playing, right? Be warned, my fellow writers. I have discovered 7 reasons why writing is one of the most dangerous occupations you could take up. All of these 7 things I'm going to talk about can increase your risk of early death. You think I'm kidding? Stay tuned and I'll show you the studies to prove that I'm not. The first reason why writing is one of the most dangerous professions is that we sit for hours. And I would encourage you to add in the total time you're sitting every day. So this should include time that you're sitting to eat, time that you're sitting to watch television, and time that you're sitting in your car, and time that you're sitting at work. What does the science say about all this sitting? Nothing good. One study found that the total time spent sitting, the higher that amount of time was, the higher the increased risk of death was. Another study by the American Cancer Society found that women who reported sitting for more than 6 hours per day were 37% more likely to die during the study period than those who sat less than 6 hours per day. Another analysis showed that adults sitting 10 hours or more per day had a 34% higher risk of mortality, and this was even after they took their physical activity into account. Get up and move around more often. I would suggest you set your timer for every 30 minutes and you get up from your chair and you walk around. Even better if you can take a 5-minute walk outside. If you can't, walk around wherever you are, do some jumping jacks, have a jump rope nearby, do a little dancing, turn on the music. Just do something that gets the body moving again. All that sitting, oh, it's horrible for us. The second reason why writing is one of the most dangerous professions is, well, with all that sitting, we tend to gain weight. Most writers understand how difficult it can be to sit down without having some sort of a munchie nearby, right? We're using our brain energy, and the brain calls for fuel to be able to fuel our stories, so pretty soon we're snacking on things just to keep ourselves going with our creative muse. Unfortunately, if we do that time and time and time again, and then we sit too much and we don't move enough, well, what does that equate to? It equates to more calories going in than the calories that are going out, and that results in weight gain. We all know that being overweight or obese is connected to what? A higher risk of early death. One meta-analysis of studies discovered that obesity was associated with higher rates of death from all causes. Overweight also increases your risk of related diseases like heart disease and diabetes and cancer. The first thing is to make sure you're regularly eating a healthy diet. The second thing is when you do have to munch on something, try to make it something that isn't going to lead to excess fat. Good options include whole grain crackers, a little bit of yogurt, some sort of fruit, vegetables in a low-fat dressing. In other words, avoid the sodas and the high-fat and high-sugar potato chips and all those things that are going to pile on the pounds. The third reason that writing is one of the most dangerous professions out there is that we don't exercise as much as we should. After being a health writer for over 25 years, I can tell you that exercise is the key to long-lasting vitality and a happy life. But what do writers do? Well, we're so strapped for time that we typically skip our workouts so that we can write. Or perhaps we just don't think we can work in exercise routine because our schedules schedules are so packed with all of our writing and our regular tasks. Well, I'm telling you right now, unless you are happy with increasing your risk of early death, then it's important that you incorporate some sort of exercise routine into your daily schedule. One study of over 240,000 people, this was not a small study, found that those with higher levels of sedentary behavior, and sedentary behavior means you're not moving, those people had higher mortality rates than those who were more active. In other words, those people were more likely to die. Are you seeing the theme here? And this is why I bring this on at Halloween, because it's a little bit dark, but it's the truth. Ew, Charlie was getting a little upset there, so I think he decided to leave. In that same study, even those who exercised 4 to 7 hours a week, but they watched television 5 to 6 hours as well, they still had a shocking 50% increased mortality over those people who tended to be more active in general. What does this show us? Well, exercise is needed, but exercise throughout the day, not just one 30-minute period and then you sit the rest of the time. I'm sorry, that's not going to do it for you if you're interested in sticking around for a while. Schedule in your 30-minute, at least, exercise workout every day, and that can be as simple as going for a walk. But then you must also build in smaller periods of movement throughout the day. That's those breaks we were talking about. Get up and move around for 10 minutes, do your jumping jacks, go for a little walk around the block. Movement is the answer, I'm telling you, my writing friends. We cannot sit there and be sedentary for extended periods of time and not be somehow harming ourselves in the process. The fourth reason that writing is one of the most dangerous professions is poor diet. You knew we were going to get to this eventually, right? You knew this was coming. So we're all supposed to eat healthy. We know that. That means lots of fruits and vegetables, lean proteins, and cutting back on sugar, fat, and salt. Well, unfortunately, as writers, as we're trying to build our careers, we often end up tired. If you don't get enough sleep, what do? You crave food that is high in sugar, fat, and salt. That's the way the body works, unfortunately. So if you're not getting enough sleep and then you're reaching for that brownie the next day, well, that's why. And then we also have trouble because we're not exercising, and when we don't exercise, we also tend to crave more sugar, fat, and salt. Did you know that? When you exercise, you can actually reduce your cravings for all these unhealthy foods. If you're not fitting in exercise into your daily routine, well, don't be surprised if your eating is horrible. One study on over 40,000 women discovered that those who had regularly made healthy dietary choices were less likely to die during the study period than those who made more unhealthy choices. Another study made similar conclusions and went so far as to say that though smoking remains the leading cause of mortality, poor diet and physical inactivity may soon overtake tobacco as the leading cause of death. The fifth reason why writing is one of the most dangerous occupations there are is that it can lead to back pain. All that sitting and sometimes extensive standing as well tends to put strain on the spine, and many writers, including myself, suffer from chronic back pain. Well, certainly back pain is not fun and it tends to be distracting, but dangerous? Can it really be dangerous? Well, according to some studies, it absolutely can. In one, researchers found that women who struggle with daily back pain, they were also more likely to die than those without chronic back pain. Now, I'm not trying to be overly discouraging here. I'm just trying to give you the research and the facts and to impress upon you how important it is to take care of yourself as a writer. Another study found similar results. Those who struggle with chronic back pain were more likely to die. Now, we can speculate as to why this may be. If you're someone who struggles with chronic back pain, then perhaps you don't exercise enough, you don't move around as much. That tends to take your health down, and is particularly over time, the less you're moving and the less you're active, the worse your health can be. Plus you're dealing with the pain, which could be affecting your sleep, which can also affect your health long term, so you can see where this is going. The best thing you can do is prevent chronic back pain. I would caution you to not sit for too long, to try to alternate between sitting and standing, then go back to sitting, then go back to standing, to move around more often, and to use cushions in your chairs that help relieve the pressure on the spine. I'm showing you a picture of one here. And then to make sure that your chair has a supportive lumbar support. And I would also suggest you get into a yoga practice. It will help you avoid back pain more than any other thing that I can think of. What if you're already struggling with chronic back pain? A couple of suggestions I have for you here is number 1, to exercise regularly. Number 2, the recommendations I already gave you for a good chair and a good lumbar support and a cushion underneath and not sitting for too long. And number 3, to engage in a regular yoga practice. And number 4, to make sure you have a very good mattress. A saggy mattress will exacerbate back pain a lot, so make sure that your mattress is suitably supportive. And number 5, if you're really struggling with chronic back pain, get one of those things that you can hang upside down with. I have a teeter myself. I would highly recommend getting one of those so that you can regularly turn yourself upside down, because that relieves the pressure on your spine. Oh, it feels so wonderful and is so good for writers. The 6th reason writing is one of the most dangerous professions is that it can lead to isolation. Many writers go out for a day job and they interact with people every day, so they don't have this problem. But if you are a writer who works at home and then you work alone on your writing as well, you may be struggling with isolation. One study found that social isolation equaled smoking and high blood pressure when it comes to mortality risk factors. Another study found both social isolation and loneliness were associated with what? Oh, you're getting the pattern here now. Increased mortality. Try starting a writing group of your own if you can't find one to join. Think about maybe joining a book club. Those are wonderful for writers. Or simply follow your interests. Sign up for a class. Go out and volunteer. Get involved in clubs. They are the best ways for you to try to battle loneliness and isolation. And the last reason that writing is one of the most dangerous professions, well, all that isolation can lead to depression. We've all heard of the great writers who battled depression. Charles Dickens, Leo Tolstoy, Kurt Vonnegut, Emily Dickinson, to name just a few. There's something about the writing profession that can lead to this if we're not careful. Maybe it's all that introspection, could be all that isolation, could be a combination of both. In fact, studies have shown that participants who are depressed typically have an increased risk of death. For example, one study found that depressed people had a higher risk of mortality than those who weren't depressed. It wasn't just major depression they were talking about. They also found that so-called subclinical depression, which means a minor form of depression, could also increase risk. Another study reported that depression was just as dangerous as smoking when it came to mortality. Okay, here we go again. Something that's just as dangerous as smoking, and we all know how dangerous smoking is. The first thing, of course, is to see a therapist. Things that can help are daily exercise. Studies have shown that exercise can be just as good of a cure for depression as medication in many cases. And then get out and interact with other people, and perhaps work with a therapist anyway, even if you're not clinically depressed, to find ways to cope with whatever negative feelings may be going on. Try to realize how dangerous this is for your long-lasting career as a writer. We didn't believe that when we chose to be writers that we'd be setting ourselves up for an increased risk of early death, did we? So the rather morbid topic, but let me give you some good news here. In most cases, all 7 of these factors are within our control. We can do something about them. Please, my writing friends, take this warning seriously and start taking better care of yourself. You and your writing will thank you for it.